Indeed. Now, here we go. More police failings. Oh, good. Let's just start the catalogue. According to a new report from the official police watchdog, more than half of police forces are not investigating crime properly. Of the 43 forces in England and Wales investigated, 22 were judged to be inadequate or requiring improvement. The two worst performance ratings, those forces face an investigation by His Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary next year, as their failings have caused the proportion of crimes solved to plummet to record lows. Joining us now is former Met Police Superintendent Leroy Logan. Leroy, thank you so much for joining us here on talkTV. This must be dispiriting for you, having been, a member of the force, to see so many forces up and down the country failing.
I think it's a perennial problem, and it is very disappointing to see how police numbers have been trashed since austerity was brought in 2010. And here we are 13 years later, and the numbers are critically low. We've got a high attrition rate. Morale is bad. And so you haven't got the number of officers to ensure that you get a good ratio of officers and caseload. So they've got a high caseload. There's more demands at each case. And so it filters all the way back to the initial investigation, how officers are conducting those golden hours to not only detect forensics and CCTV and so forth, but also to ensure they've got strong case papers, case files that go to the Crown Prosecution Service and in effect leads to a prosecution. But they're falling short right along that journey.
I'm just wondering if, Leroy, if the right people are going into the service. Do you think that's part of the problem?
I think there's a bit of that. I think when we lost 20,000 cops nationally, and Boris decided he wanted to bring that back up to the normal values it was in 2010, there was the floodgates, and we know that there was lack of vetting. The standards weren't maintained. It's very patchy across different force areas around the country, and as a result of that, we saw that people are not really fit to do the job, and not only in their acumen and their investigative skills, but also some of the cultural issues around racism, misogyny, and sexism and homophobia. All these things came with it. So we've seen an organisation that's gone through the mill in terms of lack of officers with the experience, but also certain officers lacking a moral compass.
I suppose there's an element of that, and then also, arguably, when you've got the boss, if you like, the Home Secretary making negative comments about either the force or its performance, that doesn't help. That doesn't demonstrate good leadership in my mind. But also, I think all of this starts, again, politically. I have never understood why we went down the PCSO route. I never understood why we removed community policing, and I never understood why we thought that CCTV was going to be the answer to all our problems. It should be, one of the tools we have. From your experience, so this is me as a layperson who has little, if any, idea. From your perspective, though, do any of those resonate? What has got to change in order to improve our policing?
Well, we've got to bring back those community cops, because they were the bridge between the community and the police. They're the ones who are on each of the wards on the regular basis, not a high turnover of officers. And they were able to reassure the community that they were, really executing their duties on a regular basis and not just an add-on. They were getting a more of a proactive stance. So they weren't just reacting to events. They were being more proactive because the community were trusting them more, so they were telling them more. And as a result of that, they were solving more crimes. And that's one of the biggest things that we've lost. I will hold you up on a couple of things around PCSOs. I'm in Hackney at the moment, and I was one of the first deputy borough commanders to bring in police community support officers in Hackney, second in the entire country. And as a result of that, they were very reflective of the community. They had good relationships with the community. Now, I know it's a bit patchy, but when you select the right PCSOs to work with the police constables, they are a resource of information, intelligence, and, as I said, building bridges with the community. So I would say if you get the right caliber of people, whether PCs, PCSOs, sergeants, whatever, you will get a good relationship, bridge building and not barriers. And it helps to reassure people when things are not going as well as it should. So it helps around this sense of safety and security.
Yeah, exactly. We all hark back to a time when you actually would see police officers on the beat, which doesn't seem to happen anymore. In fact, actually, people stop and point where I am when you see a police officer on the actual beat. I was just very briefly wondering, Leroy, if we talked about CCTV, and there was this feeling when it first started being brought in, and everybody kind of went, "Oh, this is really exciting. We can sort it out. We can actually go straight to the culprit." Do you think that artificial intelligence, do you think that actually in maybe not now, but in the future, in the not too distant future, artificial intelligence is really going to help?
I think so. I think to some extent, you know, it's in so many aspects of our lives, cars, the way in which Google, you know, all these search engines have a component of artificial intelligence. But AI, I think, can really help with analysis of how crime hotspots, because I found that, you know, the way in which they developed analysis over the years can really help to build where you deploy your assets. So I think there's definitely AI elements that can assist in deploying assets in a lot more intelligence-based way. And as a result of that, get your officers, get the right culprits, you know, the ones that command other people to go and do their madness on the street. So I really think it can be, and sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'm imagining RoboCop turning up and just, you know, you don't even need to ask it the time. It's probably got it sort of flashed on it somewhere.
I see, you are living in the future.
I've kind of moved
there we
on.
go. Leroy Logan, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on talkTV.